Okay, so we finally established some good sound quality. Today I'm gonna go in slightly a different direction. I was recommended to read out some urban legends from around America, so that's gonna happen. The first segment will involve my deck of magic cards. I'm gonna show you what I have. And after that, we'll probably read either a creepypasta or something that I wrote. I'll see how I feel when I get there. Okay, so close up the laptop first for a minute. Alright, so I don't know how many of you out there know how to play Magic the Gathering. I'm not going to explain the rules, I just want to show off the cards. So this is a basic land card. It's island, it's a water card, and it basically gives you mana so you can cast spells and summon creatures. Here's one that's really cool. It's a companion, and I haven't been able to actually use it, but I kind of forgot that it was there. Extinction Event. Spell Eater Wolverine. I'm not gonna read the flavor text and stuff on it. I just want to show them off. And it might just be the cards that were loose. Wilt. An instant. I really like the art on these cards. Bushmeat Poacher. I'm sure a lot of these were from booster packs too. Coordinated Charge. Four. Tentative Connection. By the way, if any Baltimore area Space Hay friends out there want to get together and play, I'm totally down. Perimeter Sergeant. Thieving Otter. Excavation Mole. Blossoming Sands. Frill Scare Mentor. Parcel Beast. Avian Oddity. Crustacean. And finally, Suffocating Fumes. Those aren't all the cards I have. I just thought, they'd be nice to show off. Plus, I've been wanting to look at my physical Magic cards again. I don't think I can justify buying more cards until I play it more regularly. So hopefully, there are some nerd stores, as I call board and card game shops, down the avenue at White Marsh, because it'd be great to have a home base to play games like these again if the public library isn't going to. Like they did before COVID, but I don't know if it's ever coming back. Damn it, my popcorn isn't hot anymore. Bear with me. Not like that. Well, that could have been real bad. Almost totally destroyed my water cup. But it didn't totally explode everywhere. Scared the shit out of my dogs, though. I was trying to find a good view of my face. If I were to write a creepypasta, maybe I could submit it to the website. Oh, yeah. Pretty sure. Oh, the next creepypasta I will read is Been Drowned. If you don't know about that one, I think y'all will actually enjoy it. I don't know why my chair is so low. Who keeps adjusting it without telling me? There, that's much more comfortable for me now. Whoop! Lick it down! Why are you always like this? Is this what you want? Well, this will actually probably be really short. Definitely not as long as the Russian sleep experiment or the dancer. So, Gateway of the Mind by an anonymous author. In 1983, a team of deeply pious scientists conducted a radical experiment in an undisclosed facility. The scientists had theorized that a human without access to any senses or ways to perceive stimuli would be able to perceive the presence of God. They believed that the five senses clouded our awareness of eternity, and without them, a human could actually establish contact with God by thought. An elderly man who claimed to have nothing left to live for was the only test subject to volunteer. To purge him of all his senses, the scientists performed a complex operation in which every sensory nerve connection to the brain was surgically severed. Although the test subject retained full muscular function, he could not see, hear, taste, smell, or feel. With no possible way to communicate with or even sense the outside world, he was alone with his thoughts. Scientists monitored him as he spoke about his state of mind in jumbled, slurred sentences that he couldn't even hear. After 4 days, the man claimed to be hearing hushed and unintelligible voices in his head. Assuming it was an onset of psychosis, the scientists paid little attention to the man's concerns. Two days later, the man cried that he could hear his dead wife speaking with him, and even more, he could communicate back. The scientists were intrigued, but were not convinced until the subject started naming dead relatives of the scientists. He repeated personal information to the scientists that only their dead spouses and parents would have known. At this point, a sizable portion of the scientists left the study. After a week of conversing with the deceased through his thoughts, the subject became distressed, saying the voices were overwhelming. In every waking moment, his consciousness was bombarded by hundreds of voices and refused to leave him alone. He frequently threw himself against the wall, trying to elicit a pain response. He begged the scientists for sedatives so he could escape the voices by sleeping. This tactic worked for 3 days until he started having severe night terrors. The subject repeatedly said that he can see and hear the deceased in his dreams. Only a day later, the subject began to scream and claw at his non-functional eyes, hoping to sense something in the physical world. The hysterical subject now said the voices of the dead were deafening and hostile, speaking of hell and of the end of the world. At one point he yelled, "No heaven! No forgiveness!" for 5 hours straight. He continually begged to be killed, but the scientists were convinced that he was close to establishing contact with God. After another day, the subject could no longer form coherent sentences. Seemingly mad, he started to bite off chunks of flesh from his arm. The scientists rushed into the test chamber and restrained him to a table so he could not kill himself. After a few hours of being tied down, the subject halted his struggling and screaming. He stared blankly at the ceiling as teardrops silently streaked across his face. For 2 weeks, the subject had to be manually rehydrated due to the constant crying. Eventually, he turned his head and, despite his blindness, made focused eye contact with the scientist for the first time in the study. He whispered, "I have spoken with God, and he has abandoned us." And his vital signs stopped. There was no apparent cause of death. Ooh. What was I gonna do next? Oh yeah, the scary urban legends from around the country. 13 minutes so far. Sorry. I fucking love popcorn. This lot came from Food Lion, and although I enjoy popcorn when it's like really hot, I guess I had a few minutes to start cooling off because I went to go fetch my cards and stuff. By the way, everyone, I don't know if you can tell, but I got a haircut. Wifey cut my hair maybe an hour and a half ago. Yeah, hopefully it looks nice. Probably be time for me to take a new selfie for the profile picture. Righto. Let's see if we can get through all this credit to thrill list. I feel like I have read this before. Oh wow, cool. I don't think I've actually looked at this before. I want like it. Okay. Well, let's start with the main article that I was linked to by Elliot. Hi, Elliot. So, this article comes to us from Thrillist, the creepiest urban legend in every state. There are some I'd prefer to skip, but 50 creeps, 50 states. Urban legends. They're whispered around campfires and passed down from generation to generation. They spark fear in the hearts and minds of children and adults alike. Their subjects take many shapes, be they bloodthirsty creatures of the night, vengeance-seeking ghouls, or sinister vortices. And each time they're told, the terror spreads. America is a country rich in folklore, a place where cautionary tales have always been mixed into the pot and sprinkled into our collective nightmares. Yet some of our nation's eeriest and most persistent stories, whether because they're rooted in community lore or used as means to synthesize local tragedy, don't travel far. Never fear, or actually please do fear. We've tracked down the creepiest urban legends in all 50 states, and the macabre bunch of stories is certainly to freak you out. Certain to freak you out no matter where you live. This would be so much easier to do with a puppy around. Welcome to children. Alabama, the Dead Children's Playground. I was originally considering skipping this because the topic of dead children is a bit sensitive to me. Yeah, I don't want to go into any more details than that, so. Anyways, let's talk about why it's creepy. This eerie playground adjacent to Maple Hill, Huntsville's oldest cemetery, doesn't just have an eerie nickname for fun. The playground was presumably designed to entertain kids while their parents visited the graves of loved ones. Legend has it, though, that the spirits of children who've been buried in the cemetery since the first grave was dug there in 1822 come out to play at night. Maybe just go nap with them. I need to take them to the dog park. The living have observed orbs, if they've absorbed orbs, have observed orbs of light going down the slide, seen swings moving on their own, even heard giggling. Creepier still, some say the spirits include victims of a rash of child murders that happened in the 60s, when bodies were rumored to have been found in the area that now houses the playground. Where it came from. The playground itself wasn't open until 1985, so you can imagine how much pent-up energy the tiny spirits had after 163 years without a slide. In 2007, the city tried to raise the park to make more room for graves and remove the slides and swings overnight. After public outcry, it was replaced with more modern equipment, making it slightly less creepy to look at, and also probably resulting in some happier ghosts. Alaska, the Alaska Triangle. Why it's creepy. encompassing an area ranging from near Juneau in the southeast to the northern Barrow region to the western metropolis of Anchorage. Alaska's answer to the Bermuda Triangles comprised some of the most barren wilderness in the U.S., and it apparently craves souls. More than 20,000 people have gone missing without a trace in the area during the past half century alone. Are they being consumed by mythological beings like the beastly Keeluk or the ghoulish kidnapper Kalupalik? My pronunciation probably sucks. Lost on extreme hikes or simply vanishing into a dark vortex? Nobody knows, though it's not for lack of trying. When the government lost House Majority Leader Hale Boggs Cessna to the Triangle in 1972, a massive search turned up tons of conspiracy theories, but no bodies. Where it came from. The area has been associated with evil spirits, and Tlingit lore for centuries attributed trickster demons for luring people to an icy death. Others believe the area exists amid an electromagnetically influenced vile vortex. Still, others think it's a Darwinian result of explorers taking on nature. Regardless, the area continues to claim people, and underneath that massive blanket of snow and rock likely lies one of the largest and best preserved mass graves in the world. Arizona and the Skinwalkers. Why it's creepy. It's easy to feel uneasy while driving through the desolate desert roads of Arizona, especially at night, and particularly so when you hear a short burst of taps on your window while cruising at 60 miles per hour and turn to see the shape-shifting, mutilated half-human creature responsible for the high-speed interruption. Relax. It's only trying to rip the flesh off your bones. This legend is so ingrained in Arizona culture that when a Navajo woman was found brutally murdered in Flagstaff, the accused killer's defense in court was that the attack could have only been perpetrated by a skinwalker. There's even a defined and well-documented portion of the state known as Skinwalker Ranch, where you are most likely to see one of the creatures. Not that you'd actually want to. Where it came from. The Skinwalkers, like so many ancient American urban legends, have roots in Native American folklore. While it's fairly hard to gather specific details, as speaking of potentially sinister legends is seriously taboo in Navajo culture, it is understood that what non-Navajos refer to as skinwalkers are witch doctors who have become an evil reflection of everything the Navajo Nation values. Basically, there are men who've transformed into malevolent, murderous creatures that have no qualms using their spiritual powers to kill. Navajo medicine men are trained to learn both good and evil aspects of their power, and skinwalkers are those who have turned to the dark side. Yes, that dark side. It's all very Star Wars, and frankly, still terrifying. Arkansas, the Dog Boy. Why, it's creepy. The name sounds kind of goofy, or actually even kind of like goofy, but if you find yourself at 65 Mulberry Street in the middle of the minuscule Arkansas town of Quitman, you won't laugh if you see the hulking outline of a 300-pound half-man, half-beast, complete with glowing animal eyes glaring out of the shadows. Walk quickly, as he has been known to chase people down his street, biting at their heels. Kind of like a dog, actually. Where it came from. This is actually the rare urban legend where the story behind the story ends up being even creepier than the folklore. Gerald Bettis, the only son of the Bettis family of 65 Mulberry, was always a problem child, but not in the cute Junior Healy way. Who? Bettis would collect and torture animals, hence the dog boy moniker, before turning his sociopathic focus to his elderly parents, allegedly imprisoning them in their own home and potentially even murdering his father. Eventually, Bettis would be imprisoned for growing marijuana on his back porch and would die in a state penitentiary in 1988 of a drug overdose. California, the many horrors of Turnbull, Turnbull Canyon. Let me chew that over for a minute. Friend request. Alright, so back to Turnbull Canyon. Why it's creepy. Located near LA between Whittier and the City of Industry, Turnbull is a 49,000-acre smorgasbord of nightmare fuel set amid the scenic hills. You want your scares rooted in American history? The natives call it Hutukinga, or the place of the devil, where the ghosts of those slain for not converting to Christianity dwell alongside the witches and Satanists who reportedly used the place to sacrifice children, whose spirits now walk the canyon and dangle from trees. They are joined by the ghosts of 21 kids who perished in a plane crash back in '52, allegedly, as there's no existing record of it. And there's the remains of the old insane asylum that came back to life to kill a teen in the '60s via a long-dormant electrical wire. There are cults, alien encounters, gravity hills, it goes on and on. Basically, if there's something that gets under your skin, there's a story about it happening in this seemingly cursed canyon. Where it came from. The place's evil vibes date back centuries, though it wasn't until the site was established as a fur trapping site in 1845 that things started getting really intense, with word of the site's terrors traveling far and wide and making it a place visited as much for its beauty as morbid curiosity. Look at, can you stop dinging at me while I'm trying to do something? I'm not gonna give you more popcorn. 30 minutes. I'm gonna read like 10 more minutes of this. This might take several installments. Colorado, Riverdale Road. Why, it's creepy. For 11 horrifying miles, Riverdale Road near Thornton, Colorado is crammed with enough horrifying legends to bring even the bravest paranormal investigator to his knees. From a ghostly runner attacking parked cars on Joggers Hill to various demons and even a phantom Camaro revving up and down the winding road. But the gates of hell seem to be the epicenter. The physical iron gates are now gone, but what remains is the partial shell of an old mansion where a madman supposedly burned his wife and children alive. Left behind are the barren, charred plot of land and a white-clad woman who wanders the area. She's joined by the ghosts of slaves supposedly hanged from the now charred tree. Go ahead and run away when you see something creepy, like an ethereal pack of dogs. They're probably just going to bump into something worse. Possibly hell, a portal to which some believe is here. That maybe explains why so many demons were conjured in a weird underground chicken coop near a set of underground tunnels. Where it came from. It's unknown when things got really hairy, though given the spirits of ghost slaves, it's safe to assume terrible things have been happening on Riverdale Road since the 1850s. And each time something terrible happened over the decades, it just got kind of stacked onto this nesting doll of a horror show. Connecticut, Dudley Town. Alright, so I changed my mind. This will be the last segment for now. Why Dudley Town is creepy. Often cited as a dark vortex, rumor has it that any visitor that steals an artifact from Dudley Town will have a curse put on them and their family. Dudley Town forest visitors report seeing just about every kind of paranormal phenomena you could think of. People describe an unnerving lack of wildlife in the area, as well as floating orbs of light and sinister wolf-like black shadows, murmurs, and disembodied voices, as well as a feeling of general dread. Add on to the fact that there's a mysterious group called the Dark Forest Association that polices the grounds with militant force, and you've got yourself a serious case of what the hell is really going on here. Where it came from. The curse of the ill-fated Dudleys began back in jolly old England, where Edmund Dudley was beheaded for conspiring against King Henry VII. This treacherous act apparently unleashed a curse on the rest of the Dudley clan, which emigrated from Guilford, England to Cornwall, Connecticut in 1748. They helped establish a community centered around the town's then thriving iron industry, before a series of untimely disasters befell the family. These calamities included a series of mysterious deaths, which in turn inspired madness and suicide among the Dudleys, several of whom disappeared into the woods never to be seen again. Wicket down. The remaining residents very sensibly ditched the town, which has been abandoned ever since. Wonder if Poe ever got any inspiration from that.